We were given a different sort of assignment in my art class my senior year. My class and I were to travel to Middletown, Ohio, to a place called Inside Out Studio. Once there, we would be paired with a buddy, who was an artist who had special needs. We and our buddies were to create a piece of art collaboratively, which would be shown at a gallery in Hamilton, Ohio. When I first walked into Inside Out, I had a lot of doubts. I wasn't sure who I would be paired with, or if they would even hold a conversation with me. I also wasn't sure if I would have to take the lead in creating whatever piece of art we would be creating. As we got started, though, my fears were shattered. My partner was named Bobby Jo. She loves to make mosaics, which is what we ended up doing. She really surprised me with how much thought she was putting into our project. She took the lead and had a very definite idea of how she wanted our piece to look like. We ended up creating a colorful, abstract flower that we named Orchid. What I first felt when I walked into Inside Out Studio is by no means an isolated thought. Many people in this world seem to think that people who have special needs can offer the world nothing as a whole, and certainly able to offer nothing of great value to the world of art. This way of thinking simply is not true. In a recent study published in the Journal of Autism and Developmental Disorders, researchers found that people who have autism or traits of autism think well outside the box in terms of ideas than their neurotypical peers do. In the study, they asked 312 people to think of as many uses of everyday objects as they possibly could. 75 of these participants either had autism or had traits associated with autism. And while it's true that these people had fewer ideas, the ideas that they did have were far out of the usual range that their neurotypical peers had. Sometimes these perceived disabilities and traits can bring out somebody's artistic prowess. Stephen Wiltshire is most famous for his hyper-realistic drawings of cityscapes such as London and New York City. Stephen has autism, and he was mute until he was 5. And before he became vocal, he communicated with the world around him through his drawings. In fact, paper was his first word when he had asked his instructor at school for his art supplies. Now, though, he has opened his own studio and gallery in London and has been named as a member of the Order of the British Empire by Queen Elizabeth II for his contributions to the world of art. But it's not just people who have autism that show an interest and talent in art. Judith Scott was an internationally renowned fiber artist. She has since passed away, but her work continues to be placed in exhibitions around the world and on permanent display in many museums. She created her highly individualistic work by creating an armature of rigid objects and then twisting and weaving colorful layers of yarn and fabric around the armature. She is one of the best-known outsider artists who are artists who have no formal training. She was born in 1943, and at the age of 7, she was institutionalized because she had Down syndrome and was also profoundly deaf. After 30 years, her twin sister Joyce had her released. Once released, she attended a place called Creative Growth in California. Creative Growth is one of the very first studios for people with diverse needs, similar to Inside Out Studio. Keith Salmon is an abstract landscape painter from Essex. He paints places that are known to him, and he attended both the Shrewsbury and the Falmouth Schools of Art. In 1989, he was diagnosed with diabetic retinopathy, which caused him to lose almost all of his sight. In his most recent works, his paintings have become thicker, and his drawings have become more and more choppy to help him combat the loss of his sight. As I reflected back on my time at Inside Out Studio, I realized I shouldn't have even had the doubts that I had to begin with. My own cousin loves to create art. This is a little ceramic cup that she painted just for me. She's also painted other little ceramic knickknacks for all of our family members. As I reflected on my cousin's work, I realized why I didn't think about her when I was having my doubts at Inside Out Studio. It's because she's not just a person with special needs to me. She's just my goofy big cousin who loves to joke around and talk about professional wrestling with me. All artists, whether they are neurotypical or neurodivergent, are capable of creativity and of creating their own works. Thank you.